wrestling fans. Brian Thompson here with you. It is a beautiful fall day, and I'm excited to bring you the latest edition of the School of Morton podcast. A lot of things to celebrate coming up with the School of Morton. We're going to talk about them, and oh my goodness, how can I even think about beginning a School of Morton podcast without my friend, co-host, the man behind the School of Morton, a true legend in the sport of professional wrestling, one half of the legendary Rock and Roll Express, multiple-time tag team champion of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, he is here with us live. That's right, live from the School of Morton, Mr. Ricky Morton. Ricky, how are you today, sir?
All right, Brian, what a intro that was, buddy. I guess, you do one every time we do a podcast like that. I can't wait each month when you do this so I can just hear my intro. I'm up here doing the strut, waiting for my music to hit.
And I tell you what, you're actually as much fun as I have doing those intros. You're a man that truly needs no introduction. That's how good you are, Ricky. And first things first, let's ask how the school is doing. Some big things coming up in the coming weeks as it involves the School of Morton.
Man, there's always a lot of big things coming up. Here lately, Brian, James Strange has been here all day. We had a little issue that happened down here. I guess a big truck turned the corner down here and hit the electric lines and just almost jerked half the building off down here. But our electricity's been cut off for like a week, and we're in an older building, so we had to get the electrician to come in and plus bring our building back up to code. I guess it was grandfathered in years ago.
Sure.
But man, we got all that done. We got that fixed, and we got our boys, Brian. They're matter of fact, they're starting to work out. I'm talking about out of the school. Guys are starting to see it. Some of the promoters are starting to look at them, and they're doing real good. But you understand that it's just like anything else that you do. You have to train to get better. And all our boys, they still coming back. Matter of fact, we'll be having school here starting in about 30 minutes, but we got all that taken care of while we finish the podcast. Love doing my school, Brian. We claimed the new kids champion on our last show, Jungle Boy.
Jungle Boy.
Yes, he won the kids' School of Morton belt. and very cool. We love our kids. Our kids are just the biggest part of our school as anybody else does. Big things going on. I just come off a great weekend with big time wrestling. The first couple of nights I was just in single matches, but we finished up in Spartanburg in a sold-out house. Robert and I and Cody Rhodes.
Yes, sir.
What a great match we had. And on our next podcast, I want everybody to know that we're going to have Cody Rhodes on our podcast. I'm looking forward to doing that one too. And
very good.
Everything. And so, Brian, you give me some update because you know that on our next show coming here, beautiful Bobby Eaton will be returning to the School of Morton. And also, later on, I'll let you do the intro then, somebody returning back after a long absence. That will be on our show later on. But give me the update on Bobby. How's Bobby doing, and what's he up to today?
Well, I tell you what, Bobby's doing well. He's getting ready, looking forward to some appearances coming up, including that stop over there at the School of Morton, middle of the month, next month. Tell you what, though, Rick, it's kind of coincidental. A big truck hit the school, and Bob Eaton's coming back. I don't know, maybe old Bob sent a little message there. We had the old last just putting that out there. But
so you try to tell me I need to take that out on Bobby Eaton?
Well, I tell you what, there's still little rumblings about School of Eaton getting back in session. So we'll see what all that's about. So
that's what I heard, and that's what the big thing is about. A big return next month of a couple of different things when Bobby comes back. Like I said, a lot of things happening here at the School of Morton. And I'm on the the road a lot too, Brian. I'm still very active in our business, and I still depend on Russell for a living. And while I was gone, I had Dr. Tom Pritchard came in and sat in for a couple of seminars and a couple of days where they trained here. I got to say that, my hat's off to Tom. What a great trainer.
Tremendous.
My boys absolutely loved him. You know, they listened. You know, Tom has that way in that voice where they, you know, and especially when you come in and train. And if you listen, sometimes it's not about getting in the ring and showing out. It's just about listening. And it's like when I work at night, you know, some of the guys outside of the school, I try to get them to listen to the people. They will tell you everything that you want to do. They will tell you your next high spot if you just listen. And so that's what happens here, Brian. Just get the people to listen and see what we're doing. But, you know, it's I feel blessed.
That is one of the things really about School of Morton that you're just not going to get in every school around the country, not taking away anything from any other wrestling school out there. There's several good ones. But as far as School of Morton is concerned, the fact that a guy like Tom Pritchard comes down on a semi-regular basis, you know, you got Bobby Eaton around, other guys that come through, named Robert Gibson comes through from time to time. So just like in the olden days, Barbarian, just like in the old days when a young talent would have a chance, the rookies would have a chance to drive the veterans or ride along with the veterans, pick their brain, you're kind of given a modern-day version of that at the School of Morton by your connections and your friends coming in. They're passing through on road trips, and it's a good stopover, good chance to catch up with you and a chance to pass their knowledge down. So just another, if I'm sitting here telling you I'm doing a commercial live for the School of Morton, I think that's another element of it. If you're out there listening and you're in that Chuckey, Tennessee general area and you're looking for a wrestling school and you say, man, I want to see if I've got what it takes, you're going to hear a lot of people out there start up a wrestling school, claim they know what they're doing, but then you ask them where they've been and what they've done, and they really can't put together much of a resume. That should be your first red flag that you probably should really do some better research and find the right place to go. And in that general area of the country, the right place to go is School of Morton, because you're going to get trained by Ricky Morton. He's going to be right there with you, not just coming in and asking some other trainer, how's my kids doing? He's going to be right there with you. And then on top of all that, he has these connections. He's bringing people like the Dr. Tom Pritchards, like the Bobby Eatons, the Robert Gibsons, the Barbarians, and the list goes on. And they're going to give you even additional seasoning from their perspective, just a full gamut that you're going to learn at School of Morton. You're not going to necessarily learn at any other just fly-by-night pro wrestling school out there. So something to keep in mind if you're listening.
And, you know, and plus, too, I'm not sitting here, like you did say, there's a lot of good wrestling schools out there. There's a bunch of them. But you put yourself, you know, I'm not one of the kind of guys to sit here and brag about myself, but understand in my day, the boys depended on each other. So, you know, when I'm out here, especially all our guys that wrestle here, most of them are some of your greatest independent wrestlers that you got out there today. You know, one of my great ones that come and trains here every chance he gets, Chase Owens, which he just finished his tour in Japan. He's in Canada for the next 2 weeks, up in Winnipeg and Montreal and up there, and I hope he got his winter coat with him because I know it's cold up there. But, you know, and too, Brian, and a lot of the guys, if you're out there listening, if you do want to train, I mean, never stop learning. I'm not here to knock anybody, and I'm not here to say bad things, but I had a couple of guys that have come here that's transferred themselves from other schools to come here because we go to a different level here. You know, it's not about teaching, does my moonsault look good? It's about teaching when to use a moonsault or when to do a high spot, the right time to do it, how to listen to the people, how to understand that right when you come out that door and listening, how to get your match going, how to keep the people behind you, not losing the match. And when you get lost in the match, how to recover from that. And when a high spot messes up, how to cover it up. So a lot of things that we do here to make that work. And we even have when we teach some of the guys, I'm not the best in the world at it, but I can get my point across is, doing interviews and talking. And if people check it out on the School of Morton, you can see some, or even our young kids, how they have come along, and not even come along about doing the interviews, how it's helped them in school, how their grades have come up because they're not bashful about talking in front of the classes. They're not bashful about doing things that normal kids sometimes they have a problem with, and it really brings the best of them out. It brings their grades up, and the first thing we do is teach them about is how far that yes sir and no sir, yes ma'am and no ma'am will get you in life, and we teach them that too.
Yes, sir. Well, on that note, sir, no pun intended, we're going to take a quick time out. Going to have a few words from some of the folks that support the School of Morton, maybe a little bit more information on how you can become a part of the School of Morton. We're going to take a listen to that right now. When we come back, we'll have a very special guest. Don't you go anywhere. You're listening to the School of Morton podcast.
Look who's here. Just in time for waffles. Please, take a seat. There's a couple things me and Sprinkles want to get off our chest. The fact of the matter is this. Ricky Morton's got a new championship, and there's some jamoke running around claiming to be something he's not. Because if there's anyone who's going to have anything to do with Ricky Morton and his stupid little championship, it's going to be Maverick. Because let's face it, I walk like a champion, I talk like a champion, and I always thrust like a champion. So on October 16th, Chucky, Tennessee, Ricky Morton, Bobby Eaton, and especially you, Crucifix, you better get ready, because I'm coming there to claim what's rightfully mine. Oh, what's that? You thought a broken wrist was gonna sideline Maverick for good? Well, I got some bad news for you then. I'm all healed up. I'm rip-roaring and ready to go. And there's nobody, and I mean nobody, ooh yeah, that's gonna stop me. Looks like Maverick's got a rep to repair. Sprinkles, hoist the colors. We're setting sail and going home and setting up shop. So you better get ready, because I'm putting all you other suckers on notice right now. Maverick's back in business. Time to take off your training bras and put on your big boy panties. Ding, ding. Here comes the king.
Welcome back to the School of Morton podcast. Brian Thompson here with you, along with my wonderful, awesome co-host, the man himself behind the School of Morton, one half of the Rock and Roll Express, Mr. Ricky Morton. And Ricky, we have with us on the air momentarily a great guest on this month's podcast, a young man who has been a part of the School of Morton, unfortunately suffered an injury, a broken arm, I do believe, and has been on the sidelines for a little bit. But the good news is, coming up at the next School of Morton event in the month of October, he's going to make his return. I'm talking about a young man I actually got to manage not that long ago and learn what he is all about and learn that he is truly the future of professional wrestling. I'm talking about Maverick. Maverick, welcome to the School of Morton podcast.
What's happening, Brian? Thank you.
And it's good to have you, of course, on the podcast. Looking forward to seeing you again in a few weeks. And most importantly, glad to hear that you're going to be getting back into the ring, physical competition. Tell us a little bit, how's the arm? How's it doing?
Oh man, it's healing up pretty good. It's always a nagging injury, man. I don't think people realize when they get into professional wrestling the toll it takes on your body and all those bumps and bruises. So I didn't realize it was broken until a couple of months down the line. I thought it was actually a wrist. I have a fractured lunate is what it was called. And, yeah, I thought it was just sprained, so I was just putting duct tape on it. And then about the fourth doctor visit, they told me it was broken.
Well, Maverick is Ricky, and, growing up in the country, and understanding me, I don't know if you get this being a Jersey guy, but, duct tape will fix anything. No, see, since you've been gone, we get a clothes hanger and hang your arm up on it, but you've been gone a long time, dude. A lot of things have changed here at the school. Matter of fact, we have crowned a new School of Morton heavyweight champion, a new belt that come in, and I know we got coming up on October the 16th. That's easy for me to think about. I only wrestle one day a year. No, but I wrestle a lot. That's the reason why I got my days mixed up. October the 16th, we're going to be back here at School of Morton, Maverick. And matter of fact, the guy that you're wrestling is from TCW over in North Carolina. Brian, fill him in on that. And I'm sitting back here listening. I want to hear what Maverick's had to say about all this.
Well, yeah, let's kind of go back in time. I want to get a little bit for the listeners out there that might not be familiar with Maverick. If you haven't already had some familiarity with him, you're certainly going to be more familiar with him as the future comes about, because he certainly is going to – he was good before. I had this gut feeling he's going to be even better than ever, and it's going to start back up next month at the School of Morton event. But Maverick, tell us about growing up, and you mentioned, of course, you're not, as they would say, as Ricky was kind of talking about a little bit, you're not from around here. Tell us a little bit about that East Coast, that Northeast Coast upbringing, and then kind of how you started to watch wrestling, what captured your attention, and what brought you to this, what brought you to these parts, as they would say.
These parts in the South, man. I better watch it being a Yankee down in the South. I know that, man. I didn't know. We're still get that heat. No, man. I had a pretty good upbringing, man. I'm from the Jersey Shore, actually. Ironically, the same area that Bam Bam Bigelow and Diamond Dallas Page are from. Diamond Dallas is from Point Pleasant, and Bam Bam Bigelow is from Asbury Park. I'm from Belmar, which is a town in between those two. So pretty cool. So I started. I think the first time that I saw professional wrestling, I was 4 years old, and I was at my grandmother's house on her beach house, and it was Macho Man Randy Savage and Queen Elizabeth, and they were getting married. I think it was SummerSlam.
And
that's
right,
I remember
1991.
I was captivated by the whole presence, and then I was hooked from then. It was always wrestling in the house. I had brothers and neighbors, and we were always wrestling each other. Ladder matches in the garage. It's amazing that no one ever got seriously injured. But
sure.
It got so bad at one point. I remember my mom outlawed wrestling in the house. She wouldn't let us because it would just be, street brawls all day and night, wherever we could go. So it was something that, has been with me since I was young. Absolutely.
You were kind of hooked on WWF early. You mentioned that was SummerSlam 91 when Randy Savage and Elizabeth did their wedding angle after having split up for a while and then getting back together. But did you just watch WWF? Now, of course, WWE for all the fans out there, but did you eventually come into WCW fandom, or what? Kind of give me a little timeline there as far as what you watched and how so.
I mean, looking back, it's funny. During the Monday Night Wars and stuff, I was always, WWF, WWE. I would switch over to WCW, and I definitely, would spray paint things in my neighborhood pretending I was in the NWO or something. But I watched a lot of ECW because at the time,
that's right.
ECW was just starting to get big down there in that Philly area. So we would watch it on Friday nights, and that really blew us away. But Mostly it was WWE, and then, you know, once I started to really learn how to wrestle, I started to really watch a lot of WCW and, of course, the NWA when I met Ricky, and, you know, he taught me how to wrestle properly. So
there you go. I like it. You kind of set me
What?
up there for my next series of questions, how to wrestle properly. Tell us at what point you decided, you know, hey, I've been a fan of this for a significant number of years. I like this. I think I could do this. And then once you hit that epiphany of I think I can do this, when did you first start training? How did you find out how to train, all that good stuff?
You know, it was. It's actually a funny story too. You know, it was always a dream of mine, and I was you know, a little bit older, probably like, you know, 25, 26, and I was in the neighborhood, and I was working a job actually in Manhattan, and I was miserable. I wasn't a 9-to-5 type of guy. You know, I would go and punch my ticket every day, and, you know, do my work in Manhattan, and Balls Mahoney, actually, he lived on the same street as me, and I would always see him in the 7-Eleven. And my roommates at the time, they would laugh at me because I would see Balls, and I would always kind of get like all jammed up. And
let's clarify that. You would see Balls Mahoney.
Yeah, exactly. You know who Balls Mahoney is, of course, right?
No.
Me
You said I would see Balls. Let's just say I would see Balls Mahoney.
Well, he lived on the same street as me.
Hey, Brian and Maverick, you know, Balls Mahoney, you know, he's a great guy, and I want to tell everybody out there our prayers go out to his family. You know, he passed away not long ago. And
Yeah, that's right.
He's a great guy, but I was fixing to interrupt here, and I know you're getting into your things about ECW, but what is funny is you know what, Brian and you too, Maverick, you know, gave my life to this business, and I was doing a seminar in Fairview, North Carolina. This was, I guess, a couple of years ago, and sometimes it's hard. You know, you do seminars and you want to talk, and then you have some people that come and some that stick out. Well, one of the guys that showed up that day that I didn't know was Maverick. I got in the ring with him, and just right off the bat, I don't think you have ever been in the ring before, have you, Dave? Maverick? But we get up there and I talk to him, and sometimes, you know, it's you could feel a natural in our business. You could tell by talking to them and see how dedicated they are. And I got to take my hat off to you, Maverick, as being here at the school in Morton. You was one of the top students. You was always here. You trained hard. You listened. I never had to repeat myself 2 times with you, and that's a good thing in our wrestling business because, you know, it's only one way, and that's to go to the top. You know, it's not to stay in the middle, and it's not to stay on the bottom. I enjoy listening to you, but, you know, go back to what you were saying. I just wanted the fans to know that you know, nothing in this business comes free. It takes a lot of hard work, and we have a lot of guys here that we work with that work with you. Not only me, a lot of other guys too, and it's 100% effort that you put back into the school, and you see what you got out of it. Look where you are now.
Yes, Ricky, thank you so much for that compliment. I mean, that's you know, that means a lot to me. It's an honor to be on your show and to get a compliment of someone of your
thank
caliber.
you. You know, I was here with you, buddy. You know, I knew, and I didn't know, but I knew a lot of nights and a lot of days that we trained here that you be training and you go back and you come back and it's true. I mean, you had your arm to be duct tape and silver tape, and I'm trying to get you some sports tape, but this is all right. And we thought your arm was sprained, but to come to find out that it was really broken. I mean, you know, brother had to take a lot of time off for this to heal properly. So my hats off to you, buddy. You never gave up until I made you go get your arm fixed.
Yes, I love it, man. What can I say?
Well, Maverick, sorry I cut your balls story off there.
Sorry, don't cut my balls off, man. Come on.
But, yeah, go ahead and
jerk them off.
Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead and continue with the Balls Mahoney story.
Yeah, no, so I would always see him in the at the 7-Eleven, the convenience store. I don't know if you guys know what that is down south, you know, or, you know.
We don't have 7-Elevens here.
So I would always get jammed up, man. I would be, because I idolized him. I used to watch him all the time on ECW, and I would be, I finally worked up the courage one time to say, "Oh, Mr. Balls Mahoney, how you doing?" Dave Warren, and he was awesome. He was a great guy, and I was telling my friends about it that night, and they're like, Dave, you could do that, and I thought that was so insane. Like to do something like that, and they're like, if there's anybody who was built for it, it's you, man. And it resonated with me, and I thought about it for a couple of weeks, and I was just so miserable, doing a 9 to 5 and not doing something that I was passionate about. So I started looking up wrestling schools, and about a year later, there was this place near us called the Monster Factory, and they were having a tryout. You heard of the Monster Factory?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And so they had, it was like, 50, 60 guys went, and they all tried out. And, I mean, it was an expensive school to get into. And they were giving away a free scholarship to someone. And, you had to take a couple bumps and cut a promo. And now I've never cut a promo in my life at this point, and or taken a bump. So, I got in there, and I took my first bump, man, and holy cow. I started seeing stars. I was like, oh, boy, and made it through, like, the preliminaries, and then had to stand up and, and a bunch of people and a panel of judges and cut a promo, and it was, it was the most god-awful thing that I've ever done in my life. But, make a long story short, I didn't get picked, but there was a couple of guys there who said, that I was good and that I had potential, and it kind of, inspired me that I was like, all right, this might be a reality. So things happened, and I ended up in Asheville, and I met a promoter. I was trying to find out a way to, how to even get into business. It's not really that easy to start to become a professional wrestler, So I met a guy that happened to be a wrestler, and he was like, you can come to the show and talk to the promoter. So I talked to the promoter. He was a wonderful guy named Tim Toller, and he said, yeah, man, if you want to be a wrestler, you can show up every Saturday. We set up the ring at about 10 a.m. You set that up. And then you can work security for us, at night, all for free. And maybe, we'll get you a little bit of training in the ring in that time. So I did that for about a month or two before I met Ricky for the first time. But, that promotion ran for a while, and then it unfortunately shut down. And it was in that time period that I decided to go to the School of Morton when I was trying to figure out, how I was going to continue to pursue it.
Hey, Maverick, this is Ricky. But during the time period that you've been having your arm fixed, this TCW has opened back up, and meanwhile, there one of the guys there, and Brian. Fill him in on what's happening and his match that he's got coming up here at the School of Morton.
Well, I've been informed that, Maverick, you're coming back right from the sidelines frying pan into the fire, because you have a matchup against the new champion, Crucifix, and it will really be a test. I mean, you're not just coming in and having a sparring session with just anybody off the street. You're right up there, right back to the top, which I think says a couple of things. Number one, it says obviously there's a lot of confidence in you to put you into that position coming off the sidelines. And number two, it says to me that you need to be on your A game coming up October 16th.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Crucifix is, he's no laughing matter. He's ranked in PWI. I see him every year in that. He's ranked 343rd or whatever. I know who he is. I know where he's at. But while I'm sitting at home, man, it doesn't mean that I'm not doing my homework. I'm studying film every night. I'm thinking about how I'm going to improve, and I'm glad he's keeping the belt warm for me, because when I get there,
Ooh.
I'll reclaim what's rightfully mine.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
I tell
you
you
got
what,
to understand, this is for the School of Morton heavyweight title belt. That
Now, well, let me throw a little caveat, a little curveball in there. I know it's baseball season's coming to a conclusion, and we're getting into World Series time now, or playoff time. I'm gonna throw a little curveball into this. Maverick, have you ever considered what it would be like to be the School of Eaton champion? I mean, that would just have a pretty cool ring to it as well, wouldn't it?
I think it'd be great, man. As long as there's the Jungle Boy associated with that School of Eaton belt, I think it would be great.
You know,
man.
Now, in all honesty, the School of Eaton has found the real Jungle Boy who may surface one day in that part of the country, but I will tell you this, there's a little bit more. So what some fan, you might be sitting out there listening to what we're talking about and being a little confused. I think it'll all be clear in the coming days and weeks as we lead into October 16th. It just tells you need to, if you're out there listening, you're anywhere near the Chuckey, Tennessee area on that Sunday afternoon. I believe bell time usually around the 5 o'clock hour, 5 p.m. in that afternoon, late early evening. You need to get there because some good things are going to go down. We're going to see a matchup for that School of Morton title. Maybe it becomes the School of Eaton title. You never know what's going to happen when the School of Morton presents a pro wrestling event. It's going to be Sunday, late afternoon, 5 p.m. bell time at the School of Morton, Sunday, October 16th. You got to be there. But Maverick, I just wanted to put that little bit of a thought into your mind, what it would be like. Now you and I, at one point, we had a pretty good association there. We had a good time a few months back at the School of Morton prior to your injury. So I'm just throwing that out there for you, buddy.
Absolutely, Brian. And, it's always an honor to work with you as well. You're a fantastic manager, and, it seems like gold always follows you, brother. Bobby, he's one of
hey, both of y'all can listen to this. Now, Brian's out there trying to stick that stick in that pot to stir it up. But understand me one thing, Brian. I know Bobby Eaton will be here, and I know every time that Bobby Eaton's come here, he wears a shirt just like the one at School of Morton that says the School of Eaton. But every time he leaves, he's got his tail between his legs. He's headed home.
Ooh,
that don't matter. I know you and everybody else.
Rick.
Hey, y'all done got me hot here now.
We just need to calm him. James Strange is close. Get some ice, get some water, whatever you got to do. Calm Ricky down. It's okay. Business, though, I'm just telling you. Ricky Morton, I have the utmost respect for, Maverick, and you know this. Except for one thing stands between us a lot of times, and this is where we disagree. When there's a chance for me to make more money at his expense, I'm going to do it. And Bobby Eaton, when there's a chance for him to make more money at Ricky Morton's expense, he's going to do it. Now, we can shake hands all day long, but it feels a lot better when a right hand to your jaw puts more dollars in my pocket. I'm just putting it out there.
Well,
that's right.
Well, hey, Brian, I know you're a long way away. We're doing a podcast, but don't let that mouth write a check that you can't cash, son. Hey, I'm here at the School of Morton every day. Come on down here. We don't even got to wait then.
We may have to make a deposit coming up.
Well, right now I'm trying to make a decision, and I'm trying to make a great decision, and it's hard for me because I'm trying to figure out which foot I'm going to stick up your behind when I see you. Okay. Guys, to get back there with you, man. Hey, to get back with you, man, we have great shows here. Like you did say, Brian, coming up on October 16th, right here in Chuckey, Tennessee. We're in East Tennessee, over by Greenville. We're not far from Knoxville. We're not far from the Tri-Cities, right here beside Greenville. We have a great, great show, and my show is all about my students. Really, it's not about me. But Bobby Eaton will be here on October 16th.
He's going to be in Crucifix's Corner.
He's going to be in Crucifix's Corner, matter of fact, and he's going to be wrestling you, Maverick. So, and that's for the heavyweight title. So, the prestige of holding the title. I know that before here, Bobby has been on your side, but Brian, if you want to stick in that pot, start stirring it up, we might as well get it started right now.
Well, Maverick, don't take it personal. It's just a matter of business. crucifix has the gold. I mean, like you said, wherever I go, gold follows, and so I also follow the gold. So hopefully, hey, but hey, all you've got to do, Maverick, when you come back, is make sure you put the gold around your waist, and then once again, you will mean something again. When you're on the sideline, you're like that three-legged horse that needs to be shot. You don't matter to us, but see, you can change all that October 16th. The ball, my friend, is in your court. Take a shot.
Brian, get this straight. I'm always relevant, man. No matter what. If I'm cooking pizza at the house, it's relevant, okay? Because whatever I do is always the best. And, look, it's an honor. It's an honor to have Bobby there. It's an honor to have Ricky there. But when I'm there, you never know what's going to happen. I'm always full of surprises, bro. I wouldn't want to miss it.
All right, well, be at your best, big man. Be at your best. So we talked about decisions now, kind of getting back to the conversation earlier, decisions. That decision for you, was it I'm sure, a no-brainer when you had an opportunity to become deeply entrenched in the School of Morton, following your initial, that foot in the door, so to speak, with Tim Toller and his organization and the TCW. So then you kind of transitioned and you really took off. Tell me what it was like when you first started really regularly, almost every few days, started training at School of Morton.
You know, it's funny you asked that question because it was, honestly, it was like the most natural thing I've ever done. I just felt like it was what I was supposed to do. The reason I was put on this earth, it was, you know, it just came to me, and it meant a lot. And obviously to go to the School of Morton and to be trained by Ricky, you know, one of the best in the business, if not the best babyface of all time. There's something that no one ever talks about at the school, which I think is really funny. You've probably seen it. Is there's a plaque that's hanging out by the door, and it was, I think it was 1989, and it was PWI. Ricky won the most popular wrestler of that year. Do you know who the runner-up was?
You spill the beans, big boy.
Hulk Hogan. So, I mean, if that doesn't tell you the magnitude of being trained by someone like Ricky Morton, I mean, you'd have to be a fool not to want to learn how to wrestle from someone like that.
So, and as much as the training is good, one of the benefits you've had in your time at the School of Morton and being affiliated with it, you've had several matches against Ricky. What is it like? Take us on that ride, so to speak, the learning experience. You're the heel, the bad guy, and you're wrestling Ricky Morton, and it's just how much do you learn in a situation like that?
I mean, it's such I learned so much, and it's not until maybe after the match that I'll process it, because the way that Ricky teaches me, he doesn't really, you know, say a lot. It's kind of doing it, and then in the ring, you know, and then afterwards when you can look back on it, and, you know, I pick up on just the little things. I mean, he's so quick, he's so swift. It's like wrestling an angel or a ninja. He just like flows so around the ring. It's crazy, man, just how just quick and fast he is. And it's to be in the ring with someone of that caliber, you just immediately, you know, you raise your own game. And, you know, that in itself has been such, you know, I'm so grateful and blessed to have those opportunities, because he's wrestled so many greats, and I just get to learn everything that he knows, and you know, it's such an amazing opportunity, and every day I thank God that how lucky I am to have such an amazing opportunity.
Dave, that's a Maverick, Dave, but that's a great compliment, son. But understand me, I don't give you nothing, and I don't teach you nothing unless you deserve it, unless you put everything into it. It's a great thing. The atmosphere here, and you know this too, not only with the big guys, but even our smaller kids, we have a great atmosphere here for the wrestling. It starts off at school here. I put nobody in front of the other. We're all the same when we get here, and that's what stands us off different from everybody else, because we all work together on things. Dave, I got to tell you, I'm really excited about you coming back, especially on our last show when I announced that you were coming back to fight for the School of Morton title. How our fans reacted, what a pop you got. Just for them to see you to come back. So you have to understand everything that you put in here, and now is starting to pay off. A lot of the fans has asked us where you've been, and we told them. I mean, this is when you give everything that you got into the ring and everything you got into training. It's not a bed of roses. It's not a cakewalk. We have injuries and we get hurt. It's something that I wanted you to take care of as quick as you could. Get back here at the School of Morton and get yourself ready, because we don't know what the future holds for you, Maverick or David. I'm so excited about it, and I'm looking forward for you to coming back. And it's a big thing not only for me, and a big thing for the School of Morton.
Thank you very much, Ricky. That's such an honor to hear from you, because I love the school and I love wrestling. It's really the only thing that I've never been any good at, and that it's just something that I'm passionate about, and I can't see myself doing anything else in this life but being a wrestler. I just I can't do it.
Let's kind of segue. Let's talk about that, because we talked about School of Morton and the fact that you don't just learn wrestling. I mean, it's not just going in there, learning the moves, learning the wrestling psychology. But Ricky does a really tremendous job, and others, James Strange, others involved, everybody really, in helping you guys learn life lessons. Tell us a little bit about some of those type of things and your feelings on that. And even if it's from a perspective of you passing knowledge on to some of the younger kids, especially some of the really younger kids that are involved with the School of Morton.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a lot about how you conduct yourselves with yourself, with other wrestlers, like locker room etiquette. That was one of the most important things that Ricky stressed right off the beginning of how to conduct yourself in a locker room or with other people that are, involved in the wrestling show, and the etiquette that's involved in that. As well as, decision making, because, I couldn't imagine, growing up in the day and age with this Facebook and all this social media, because little kids are mean, man. They are mean. So when you're doing something that you love, and unfortunately, people, they'll talk smack about wrestling. They don't know what it is. They, is it fake or, definitely.
They think they
we
do.
get knocked out, we still wrestle. They don't know anything. So you deal with those, jamokes, and it's tough. But it's just how to be a role model, how to be a good person in society, how to conduct yourself, how to, set an example for people, really. And Ricky does a great job at teaching us that.
Tremendous. And how does it feel? This is, I guess, while we're on a sentimental roll here, Ricky Morton and Ricky has no doubt about it. We all get into our modes, but reality is Ricky has done a little bit of it all. He's seen the world. He's one of the best to ever lace up a pair of boots. Like you mentioned, babyface. He and Ricky Steamboat are my tie for the two best baby faces of all time, in my opinion. But what is it like? Now think about this, Maverick, and this is going to hit home. What is it like for you, the fact that you're a part of another dream that Ricky Morton has realized? Because Ricky, as mentioned, he's wrestled in arenas across the world, sold them out multiple times, yet still had a dream, and that dream was to produce the School of Morton, and now you're a part of it. How big is that?
Oh my God, it's wild. It's hard to even fathom sometimes. I mean, you just look at the caliber of the other students. You have guys like Chase Owens in Japan, or Elliott, who's winning NWA, championships. They're going on, they're doing things, and you're associated with people who love the business. And it's great to see the growth that has taken place since I've gotten there. When I got there, there was just one ring. Now there's 3 rings, there's an entire facility. It's beautiful. We have our own locker room. We have TVs where we can watch film. Like, it's just, it keeps growing and growing, and I'm sure there's going to be some major changes that I don't even know about when I get back. And just to see the growth in such a short amount of time is just an amazing indicator to show you, the dedication that is put on behind the scenes, behind, like you said, the James Stranges and the Ricky Mortons and the people who love wrestling. We're so lucky to even have the school and all the sacrifice that they make for us to even have it. I mean, it's just an incredible opportunity.
Tremendous. Ricky, I'm going to throw a question to you while we have Maverick here with us on the School of Morton podcast. Ricky, kind of pull your crystal ball out. Where do you see this young man in the next 3, 4, 5 years?
Well, Ron, that's a question that, I think about a lot, not only with him, but several of my students I have here. Like I told you earlier, when the first time I met Maverick was at a seminar over in Asheville, North Carolina, and I knew just by looking at him that he had he had the fever, he had the passion for our business, and sometimes you just call it somebody that's natural for our business. Now, behind the scenes, you have to understand we work a lot on things great, and as you listen to him, and that's what I'm doing. I've been quiet on this segment here just to listen because I wanted to see how he conducts himself and how he talks and his voice and how he comes across over on this podcast. It's an excellent job. I see him as, like you said, one of the stars of the future. I've always told him that. The way he presents himself. And not only that, he was telling you earlier, a lot of times, when you're at the wrestling matches, and, I have took Dave on the road to wrestle for other big organizations. And the part about it is after his match, which he had a great match and really tore the house down. But the greatest compliments come when the promoter tells you, says, we had a great match, but gosh, what manners he has to be a northern guy. No, I'm just kidding about that. But what great manners he has. And that's something that you try to teach, but sometimes a lot of people don't understand. And I said this to you earlier, Brian. A yes sir and a no sir and a yes ma'am and no ma'am gets you real far in life. But to answer your questions, his destiny's unknown. It's what he wants to get through this business and how hard he wants to work for it. Nothing's given to you. It's hard. My day, I wrestled every night, and I learned from the best. Nowadays, it's not territories. Nowadays, you have to go out, you've got to get it, you've got to grab it, and you've got to hold on to it and keep it. David has that. And, it's no telling what the future could bring to you, Maverick, David. You just got to, when you come back, it's like starting all over again. You know that. You've been, I know you've been working out, and I know you've been watching wrestling, and I know you've been, keeping up what's going on here at the School of Morton. You see, and I respect that. And respect that for yourself, too, because later on in life, it's going to come in handy. And I think he's got a few phone calls for already, Brian. That's a little bit kayfabe. We're going to get him ready, and like I just told you, the future is in his hands. He's got all the mechanics and all the tools to do it, and we'll see where we go from there.
That's a tremendous endorsement, young man.
Thank you, Ricky. That I can't tell you how much that compliment means to me.
Well, buddy, and I appreciate that, dude. Brian, it's great having Maverick here on here, but you know what the night is? Tonight's school night. And I guess you could hear in the background back there the ring popping. Dave, I want you to understand it's great. Can't wait to see you to get back here to school. You be careful traveling back down. You're in Jersey. You're in New York right now, aren't you?
I'm at the Jersey Shore, baby. That's right.
Yeah, okay, buddy. Be careful coming back down. But before I get off, I just want to tell people out there, because I might have to go train, and Brian, you can close it up for me here in a second, that when you do run a school, and like Dave said earlier, we started out here with just one little ring. But to make my school better, everything that we got from the school, we put back into it. And without the help of a lot of friends, or without the help of a lot of people that know us, you want the best equipment for everybody. Our equipment comes from Monster Rings out of Kentucky. Mike Samples was going to tell you, thank you, you promoters out there. You're looking for a good ring and good equipment. I mean, and understand me, when I go wrestle every night, the first thing I do when I get in the ring is I check the whole ring out. And if you got a good ring, you're going to get a good match. But if you got a bad ring, I'm not going to risk myself of getting hurt. Get a hold of Mike Samples at Monster Rings, the best ring that's made in the business today, in my opinion. And I just want to thank everybody for being out there. You get a chance, you come by School of Morton. We work hard here. We train. Brian, you take it from here. You have a good night. Dave, here at the School of Morton, we all love you. Looking forward to you coming back. Have a great night, great time, and I'm headed out to the training set area. Good night, guys.
All right. Thank you, Rick. Ricky Morton right there, School of Morton Podcast, doing what he does best these days, and that is create the future of our wonderful sport of professional wrestling. Also want to thank Maverick. Looking forward to seeing you Sunday, October 16th. 5 o'clock bell time, 5 p.m. And that's right, on that Sunday. Going to be exciting action. Maverick is back, and not only is he back, but he goes right to the top, challenging Crucifix for the School of Morton Championship. Or will that be the School of Eden Championship when the night is done? You'll have to be there to find out. All the great action coming up. Follow School of Morton on Facebook, and be sure to join us next time. As mentioned earlier in this podcast, we're going to have a very special guest. Cody Rhodes is our planned guest for the next edition of the School of Morton Podcast. Maverick, again, thank you for joining us. And wrestling fans listening to us worldwide, we thank you for joining us. We will talk to you next time on the School of Morton Podcast. Thank you, Brian. All right, we're out. Thank you, boys.